Hi, my name is David Andrews, and today I'm going to reveal the two deadliest diabetes lies told by doctors, pharmaceutical companies, and those so-called experts. You'll see how the one man responsible for 90% of these diabetes lies was recently arrested for medical fraud. But the diabetes industry keeps selling you his fake research. Today, I'll prove once and for all how everything you've been taught about managing diabetes is dead wrong. I'll tell you how to know if your doctor's been lying to you. And I'll reveal the scientifically proven pancreas jumpstart technique, which forces your pancreas to start producing insulin again, reversing your type 2 diabetes in as little as 11 days. It's based on medical research at Newcastle University in England, and it's already been proven to work in multiple studies and used successfully by over 38,317 people. And you can start using the pancreas jumpstart technique and start reversing your diabetes today, all with low-cost foods that you can pick up at any grocery store. But I'll warn you, the $245 billion diabetes industry, they're furious that you're watching this presentation right now. They want to keep you on diabetes life support, robbing you blind with their criminally priced insulin shots and oral medications, which don't fix your diabetes and come packed with painful side effects. The liars and thieves in the diabetes industry, they don't want you to know about this breakthrough three-step method to easily destroy your diabetes. And they don't want you to see the science and research that prove this method works. Because once you know these secrets, you can completely and permanently reverse your type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes in as little as 11 days. Hey, it doesn't matter how long you've had the disease. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if your blood sugar levels are sky high. With the Pancreas Jumpstart, you'll be free from annoying insulin shots and painful finger pricks. You'll say goodbye to useless medicines that make you feel sick, gain weight, and increase your risk of heart attack. You'll stop worrying about risky surgeries, amputations, and early death. There'll be no more fear of painful, tingling neuropathy in your feet and hands and everywhere else in your body. You'll remove the stress of wondering when your vision will completely fail and you're blind for the rest of your life. You can break the chains of always watching what you eat, always checking your blood sugar, and always feel like a burden on your family and friends. You'll feel full of energy. You'll be able to eat your favorite foods again. You'll be able to go anywhere and finally feel free again. Just like Andrew from Battleground, Washington, who said, "Your presentation showed me that the solution to my diabetes was easier than I ever imagined, and you had the science to back it up. I thought I'd be stuck with diabetes forever. But now I've been diabetes-free almost 18 months. My doctor was shocked when I told him that I didn't need my insulin shots anymore. He had to test my blood sugar himself just to believe it. The best part is, the steps I learned in this presentation reversed my diabetes in just 10 days. And Doug from Salt Lake City, Utah, who said, "I tried those fake cure diabetes programs, and they were just big bottles of snake oil. Almost as bad as the diabetes pharmaceutical industry keeping me sick so they can keep taking my money. I'm so glad I found a real way to reverse my type 2 diabetes. It's not untested junk science. It's real, proven, practical ways to get your body to regulate your blood sugar again. I'm living proof that it works. I haven't needed diabetes medication for over 6 months. Everybody with type 2 diabetes needs to watch this video right now so they can reverse their diabetes in just 2 weeks. Listen, it's not your fault you have this disease, and it's not an issue of skinny or fat. All you have to do is reprogram your body to start regulating blood sugar again. The best part is, the Pancreas Jumpstart doesn't require any special equipment or weird foods. It's just a simple program you can do right from your own home. In fact, you can start it as soon as you watch this video and be diabetes-free as soon as next week. Make sure you watch to the end of the presentation so you can see the scientific research that shows you how it all works. So turn off your cell phone, grab a pen and paper, and get ready to take notes. You're about to learn how to destroy your diabetes. First, let me introduce myself. My name is David Andrews. I'm 51. I have a wife and 2 kids. I'm the head chef at a 5-star restaurant near Washington, D.C., and just like you, I used to suffer from type 2 diabetes. I felt tired all the time. I couldn't eat my favorite foods, only bland, boring meals. Heck, I actually became a chef because I love food in the first place, and now I was banned from eating all the tasty food that I enjoy. In fact, I always had to worry about what foods and what activities would send my blood sugar off the charts. I was a burden on my family, and I was terrified my kids would end up with type 2 diabetes, just like me. Every single day I had to prick my finger to test my blood sugar and then give myself painful shots. Between paying for health insurance and my own costs, hey, I was spending about $2,000 a month on insulin. I tried the other diabetes medications that my doctor recommended, like metformin, Actos, or Amaryl. That was a disaster. I emptied my bank account paying the billion-dollar diabetes companies for test strips and insulin shots. I just about killed myself taking those medicines. Metformin and Actos made me feel nauseous all the time, and Actos, it just made me fat. Plus, I found a study in the New England Journal of Medicine that linked several diabetes medicines to a 43% increased risk of heart attack and a 64% higher risk of cardiovascular death. Even if the medicine worked, which it didn't, what's the point of fixing one problem if the side effects will kill you with a heart attack? I remember going on vacation with my family to the beach, but I couldn't relax. I had to spend the whole time worrying about which foods I ate, when I could eat again, and how much I could walk around before my blood sugar got out of control. I didn't realize yet that the diabetes industry wants to keep you sick. That's how they make their $245 billion annually. My type 2 diabetes was emptying my wallet, it was destroying my body, and just making my life miserable. I felt trapped. And the worst part was, I was afraid that's how I'd spend the rest of my life. You probably felt that way before, scared that your diabetes is going to make your life worse and worse until it finally decides to kill you. But as miserable as I was, it was about to get even worse. I'll never forget that day in my restaurant's kitchen. My two best assistant chefs had been poached by another restaurant. I was understaffed, and it was a Saturday evening, the busiest shift of the week. My stress was through the roof. My heart was pounding, and the kitchen felt hotter and more humid than ever. I remember receiving an order for a medium-rare steak and then feeling my knees go weak. The next thing I knew, I was waking up 3 days later in the hospital, seeing my wife and two kids sitting around me, their eyes red and puffy from crying. The room smelled like cleaning liquid, and I heard the steady beeping of the heart monitor. When my wife saw I was awake, she threw her arms around me and then ran to get the doctor. I'll never forget how my son and daughter looked at me, like they were watching their daddy die. My wife came back and the doctor came in. He explained what had happened. "You went into a diabetic coma," he said, "a non-ketotic hyperglycemic hyperosmolar coma. Your blood glucose level was at 1,174. One of the new chefs at my restaurant had called 911, and some quick-thinking paramedics and ER doctors had saved my life. Even today, I hate to think about what would have happened if I'd been alone that day. I'd be dead. But believe it or not, that day was about to get even worse. The doctor cleared his throat, like he was nervous about telling me something. He said, "Because your diabetes is so advanced, we'll need to remove your legs. I've scheduled the surgery for this afternoon. It's every diabetic's worst fear, amputation." "No," said my wife, "absolutely not." "I'm sorry," the doctor insisted, "but we've got no choice. We can give him another 10 years to live, but we have to operate immediately." My wife got so upset she had to sit down, and my daughter started to cry. Not only was I going to lose my legs, but I'd only lived 10 more years. While my wife argued with the doctor, I got lost in my thoughts. Amputation. Only 10 years to live. I didn't believe it. The doctor had to be wrong. That bad stuff happened to people with type 1 diabetes, not people like me with type 2 diabetes. It happened to sick people who could already barely get around, not someone like me who worked on my feet all day. What about my job? How could I run a restaurant kitchen from a wheelchair? How was I going to support my family? I'd spend the last few years of my life handicapped, unable to get around, unable to keep my family fed. The rest of my life suddenly seemed like a dark, terrifying path that I didn't want to go through. And it was all because of the greedy, lying diabetes industry who just want to keep us buying insulin shots and filling their bank accounts. If they spent some of that money actually looking for a cure, I wouldn't be in this mess. I wouldn't be dying in just 10 years. I wouldn't be missing my golden years of retirement or fully enjoying what I've worked so hard to build or playing in the backyard with my grandkids. I wanted to find these diabetes company executives and strangle them. Not that it would do me any good. I was going to lose my legs, and then I was going to die. And there was nothing I could do to change that. Now, all the time I was thinking this, my wife was arguing with the doctor. and trust me, when my wife gets upset, she tends to get what she wants. When I started listening again, she was telling the doctor, "There is no way you're cutting off his legs today. The longest we can wait is 60 days, said the doctor. "If we wait any longer, it'll be too dangerous." My wife gave a short little nod like she did when she won an argument, but I could tell by the tears forming in her eyes. She felt like she'd lost. And after all, I'd still lose my legs, and I'd still be dead in 10 years. They let me go home soon afterwards. The next week, well, it was the worst week of my life. I sat on my couch, scared and depressed. The only thing that would save my life was if my diabetes somehow disappeared. My family treated me like I was already dead. My daughter told me she loved me every time she walked by. And my son got mad and wouldn't talk to me. He didn't understand why I wouldn't be around his whole life. A couple of weeks later, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to a face I hadn't seen in years. It was Jonathan, my old college roommate. I invited him in and we sat down. I saw your bad news on Facebook, he told me, and I think I might be able to help. I'm an osteopathic researcher, Jonathan said. It means I figure out ways to help the body heal itself. Most of the time, you don't need pills or surgery. He then examined my legs for a few minutes. And you probably won't need amputation. There's something I've been working on recently, and I think it could help you. I used to suffer from type 2 diabetes. I couldn't believe it. Jonathan looked totally healthy, especially considering we were both in our early 50s. Yeah, I tried all the regular ways to deal with it, he said, until I realized that the diabetes industry wants us to stay sick. That's why insulin shots and other medications don't make you better. They just drag out your suffering. So I looked into other programs that I found in books and on the internet, but those were full of money-hungry crooks too. Don't waste your time and money on those. He told me that in his research, he discovered the 2 deadliest cure diabetes lies. This is what I mentioned earlier, so you probably want to write this down. Here they are. Number 1, you can cure type 1 diabetes. You've probably heard these guys make promises about curing or reversing type 1 diabetes. Don't listen to them. They're lying crooks, because there's no cure for type 1 diabetes, not yet anyways. It's just like all the fake cures for cancer. No one in the medical field, pharmaceutical field, or natural health field has found a cure that's proven to work. With type 1 diabetes, you're born with a malfunctioning pancreas that can't regulate blood sugar. It's like being born without a foot. You can learn to deal with it, but you can't grow a new foot. On the other hand, type 2 diabetes is like being born with a healthy foot and then injuring it. If you treat it properly, your body can heal it. So make sure you write that down. You can't reverse type 1 diabetes, but you can destroy type 2 diabetes. Here's the next deadly cure diabetes lie that Jonathan told me. Number 2, the alkaline diet will cure your diabetes. Here's the biggest problem with the most popular cure diabetes programs. They're all based on the alkaline diet. The alkaline diet is unproven nonsense. It has never been shown to work. There have been 0 studies showing that the alkaline diet can cure anything. In fact, the research shows that it has no effect at all. In fact, Jonathan told me he'd found a news report about a so-called Dr. Young who promised that his alkaline diet program could cure everything from cancer to diabetes. He didn't care if it worked as long as he got your money. Luckily for us, the FTC finally got something right and locked that liar and thief away. But here's the most outrageous part. After Dr. Young was arrested for fraud, diabetes programs kept selling you his lies. Science proved the alkaline diet useless. The government charged Dr. Young with fraud, and this so-called expert kept selling the alkaline diet, saying it would cure diabetes. If you try that diet, your diabetes will only get worse. But those experts, they don't care. They only want your money. So when you're looking for ways to actually treat your diabetes, make sure you stay away from the 2 deadliest cure diabetes lies. Jonathan got so fed up with the greedy diabetes industry robbing him blind and all the lies and false promises in the so-called cure diabetes programs that he finally decided to do something drastic. He told me I had to find a way to reverse my diabetes on my own. After all, he was an osteopathic researcher. He was an expert in finding ways to help the body heal itself. So he set out to find a way to help his own body cure itself of type 2 diabetes. First, I looked at the problem. Type 2 diabetes happens for 2 reasons. First, my pancreas had stopped doing its job. It wasn't producing enough insulin. Second, my body had stopped absorbing and using insulin correctly. So Jonathan needed to find a way to jumpstart his pancreas and to get his body to absorb insulin again. I found a study from Newcastle University in England, he said. They'd tested a new temporary diet to see if it could reverse type 2 diabetes, and it worked. People only had to follow this diet for a few weeks, and their type 2 diabetes disappeared. There were no more needles, no more worry. Some of the patients saw their type 2 diabetes destroyed after just 1 week. It worked because of something I call the pancreas jumpstart. Now you see, most people with type 2 diabetes have a genetic issue that causes fat to build up around the pancreas. This stops the pancreas from producing insulin. But with the pancreas jumpstart technique that they used in this study, they were able to unclog the pancreas and force it to start producing insulin again. I knew I'd found the first step of what I needed, so I recreated this temporary diet and tried it myself. It worked. My blood sugar levels were more normal. I almost never needed insulin shots. But even after the diet, Jonathan knew he wasn't done. See, he told me, that study wasn't good enough by itself to keep diabetes away forever. Actually, almost 50% of the patients had their diabetes come back in just 3 months. That wasn't good enough. I wanted to be free of diabetes forever. So I did my own studies in my own lab, and I figured out the next step to destroy diabetes. A metabolism-boosting trick to help my body regulate insulin. Study after study has shown that the higher your metabolism, the better your insulin absorption. Now, when your pancreas starts producing insulin again, your diabetes goes away. And when your insulin absorption improves, your diabetes goes away for good. Once I started using this trick, said Jonathan, I was able to go long past the 3-month mark without my diabetes coming back. But it almost didn't last. Jonathan told me how his diabetes wouldn't completely go away. His blood sugar had never been so in control, and he'd never had so much energy. But he kept having days when he almost needed an injection. His blood sugar was almost normal again, but not quite. He couldn't figure out why. And finally, one day he got lucky. I slept in, he said, and threw off my whole schedule. I ate breakfast and lunch at different times than normal. As he checked his blood sugar throughout the day, he noticed something different. It was normal. He ate his meals in that same pattern all week, and for the first time in years, his blood sugar stayed completely normal all week long. It's not just what you eat. It's when you eat. Regulating your blood sugar is about timing. Once I realized this, he said, I read every study about it I could find and tested different timings on myself. Finally, he found the perfect schedule. He figured out when to eat which foods. Jonathan finished by telling me, I haven't needed a single insulin shot in years, and my blood sugar stayed completely in control. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that at first, I was a bit rude to my friend. His 3-step pancreas jumpstart might have worked for him, but that didn't mean they would work for me. I just wanted him to leave me alone so I could feel sorry for myself. After all, diabetes had taken my freedom. It was about to take my legs, and in less than 10 years, it would take my life. Fortunately, Jonathan was patient with me. Look, you've tried everything else, he said, and I just showed you how these 3 steps work scientifically. So why not give it a chance? So that's what I decided to do. And let me tell you, I'm so glad I did. I followed Jonathan's first step, and I tried out the temporary diet to jumpstart my pancreas. In 1 week, my blood glucose level was at 130. Remember when I was in the hospital, my blood sugar was at 1,174. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Maybe I really could get rid of my diabetes. When I started step 2, my life changed. I used Jonathan's osteopathic tricks to boost my metabolism and get my body to start absorbing insulin again. After 2 weeks of using these tricks, I had the happiest day of my life. I didn't need an insulin shot all day. My blood sugar stayed normal all day long. I was actually reversing my type 2 diabetes. Can you imagine how excited I was? I told my wife at the end of the day, and she wept for joy. Jonathan told me to make sure I used the 3rd step and ate the right foods at the right time to make sure my diabetes stayed gone. Then came the day I'd been dreading, my next appointment with my doctor. He wanted to check how I was doing and schedule the surgery to amputate my legs. I was scared. I went to the hospital. They did their tests, and then I sat in the exam room with my wife, waiting for the doctor to come in and give us the news. First, he stuck his head in the door to say, "There's something wrong with the tests. We're running them again." So we waited even longer. Finally, he came back. "What did you do?" he asked, looking at his clipboard. For a second, I thought he was mad at me. "What did you change?" he asked again. New diet?" I told him about the pancreas jumpstart that Jonathan had shown me. "Well," said the doctor, "your friend just saved your legs and your life. We don't need to amputate. And as healthy as these tests look, you could live to be 100. 6 weeks ago, you had about the worst case of type 2 diabetes I've ever seen, and now it looks like you never had it at all. It's a miracle." My wife, she clapped her hands over her mouth, laughing or crying, or both. I want you to imagine what it felt like to hear the doctor say that my diabetes had disappeared. Suddenly, I had my whole life ahead of me. I'd never have to stick myself with painful insulin needles again. I'd never have to feel like a burden to my family and friends. Hey, I could start eating my favorite foods again. I could go hiking or to the beach or on any vacation with my family and not worry about how tired I'd get or what food I could eat. I was finally free. And I did it without the lying pharmaceutical companies and the thieving so-called diabetes experts. That evening over a scrumptious dinner, I told Jonathan, "We have to share this." He agreed. In fact, he'd already been planning on sending his 3 steps to medical journals to spread the word. So he put together an article on how he'd used his osteopathic research to reverse diabetes and started contacting journals. No one responded. He kept trying until he finally got one editor on the phone. "No one wants this," he said. "Insulin shots and other medication are doing just fine." We were furious. We had found a way to destroy type 2 diabetes, but the industry didn't want people to know. They don't see you as a patient to cure. They see you as a repeat customer for life, and they want to bleed your wallet dry. So-called diabetes research is a $245 billion industry, and they know exactly how much each one of their customers is worth. $4,174 a year more than the average non-diabetic customer. That's $83,500 more over their lifetime. In fact, it's a gap that increases substantially each year following the initial diagnosis, according to a study published in the journal Diabetes Care. They want you to get more and more sick, for your body to waste away as you become a burden on your family. They want you to lose your limbs, your freedom, and finally your life, because that means they get another $4,174 each year. Jonathan and I were mad as hell. He wanted to report them to the government or get the truth about their greed in the newspapers. Then we realized everyone in power already knew. In fact, they were desperately trying to cover it up. If we wanted to get the word out, it'd be up to us. We had to form a group of people who know the truth about the lying, thieving diabetes industry. A group of people who are doing more than masking their type 2 diabetes symptoms with insulin shots and dangerous drugs. They're saying goodbye to their diabetes forever. We started with friends, family, and neighbors. Anyone we knew who suffered from type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. I couldn't believe the results. Everyone who used these 3 steps reversed their diabetes. They couldn't thank us enough. From there, we had to go bigger. We needed a way to distribute these 3 diabetes-destroying steps to diabetes sufferers all over the world, so they too could be free of it forever. So I helped Jonathan turn his 3 steps into an easy-to-follow system. We spent several months making sure all the osteopathic research was correct, and I lent my expertise as a chef to make sure the meal plan options were both healthy and delicious. The night we finished, we were sitting at my kitchen table. We just shared a hearty meal, something we'd never be able to do if we hadn't reversed our diabetes. Jonathan told me, "This is it, the answer for everyone with type 2 diabetes. It's their key to freedom." We could both feel how big this was. We knew the diabetes industry would try to shut us down, but we were determined to share the truth. We called it the 3-Step Diabetes Destroyer and started sharing it over the internet. Soon over 38,000 people had used it, and it was working. This simple system was saving lives and giving people hope again. The group of people who know the truth about diabetes was growing. Now, if you've watched this far, then I think you're ready to be part of this exclusive group of people. I want you to have your very own copy of this system. I want you to be one of the few who knows how to destroy your diabetes. So first, let me show you what's inside. We divided the system into 4 modules, an introduction to the truth about diabetes, and then 1 module for each of the 3 steps. Let me take a second to show you what's inside each module. Module 1 is called What Your Doctor Doesn't Want You to Know About Your Type 2 Diabetes and Prediabetes. In this section, you'll find out the real cause behind your diabetes and how easy it is to fix it. You'll learn the 2 glucose glitches causing your blood sugar levels to go crazy, and you'll get the truth about how to switch them off. You'll get an insider's report on how diabetes drugs make your disease worse, not better. And you'll be able to spot any diabetes lies that your doctor tries to tell you. Once you understand how diabetes isn't your fault and you see what's really causing it, you'll be ready to move on and start dealing with the problem. Your first step will be step number 1, the Jumpstart Your Insulin Factory Temporary Meal Plan. In this module, I'll walk you through a temporary meal plan that fills your body with the exact nutrients you need to jumpstart your pancreas, which is like a little insulin factory in your body, into producing enough insulin again. You'll learn the exact combination of foods that'll jam-pack your pancreas with the nutrients it needs to start producing insulin again. You'll get step-by-step instructions on how to use this temporary meal plan to effortlessly kickstart your diabetes reversal. If you can say no to pizza and donuts for just a few days, you can do this. Plus, you'll be able to throw away your overpriced drugs or insulin shots because you'll teach your body to regulate blood sugar on its own. Once your pancreas is pumping out insulin, you need to get the rest of your body to start absorbing it again. That's why next up is step number 2, the natural trick to amp up your metabolism. Like I mentioned, when you increase your metabolism, you increase your body's insulin absorption rate. As your insulin absorption rate goes up, your diabetes disappears. So in this module, you'll learn my favorite 30-second workout to keep your metabolism burning strong all day. Plus, you'll find out the 3 metabolism-boosting berries. Just add a handful to your meals, and your metabolism will kick into overdrive. Oh, and best of all, while these tricks are increasing your insulin absorption rate, they're also melting away fat, giving you more energy, and lowering your risk of heart disease. These metabolism-boosting tricks alone could change your life. But I'm giving you more than that, because you don't just want to say goodbye to diabetes. You want to say goodbye now, and you want to say goodbye forever. Here's the key. It's not just about what you eat. It's about when you eat it. So your last step is step number 3. Time your meals to finish off your diabetes. In this module, I'll show you the precise schedule of when to eat which foods to keep your blood sugar as regular as clockwork. I'll show you the breakfast secret, the one key element that should be part of your breakfast every day. It tastes great and sets you up to keep your blood sugar balanced all day long. You'll find out the exact number of hours you should wait between meals, and you'll learn 3 diabetes-destroying snacks for when you need something to hold you over. Plus, have you ever wondered how close to bedtime it's okay to eat? 30 minutes, 2 hours? You get it wrong and you could wake up with out-of-control blood sugar. But get it right, and you won't have to think twice about your diabetes for the rest of the day. In this module, you'll find out exactly how long before bed to stop eating. With this 3-step diabetes destroyer, you can say goodbye to a life full of frustration and fear, and you can start enjoying freedom from diabetes. I want to send you the 3-step diabetes destroyer right now. I want you to ask yourself, what would it be worth to never again have to deal with annoying shots and finger pricks? What would it be worth to stop worrying about risky surgeries, amputations, and an early death? What would it be worth to suddenly have a whole world open up to you? Finally be able to eat your favorite foods, have the energy to go out with friends or go on vacation, and never worry about everyone thinking you're a burden. What would it be worth to destroy your diabetes? Remember, we're talking about a longer life and being able to enjoy it, all with 3 easy steps that you can start right now. You'd probably pay every cent you had, wouldn't you? That's what our successful client Jared said. He said this system would be worth at least $1,000, especially since it could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in medication and surgery that you won't need down the road. But I know times have been tough. I know what it's like to deal with type 2 diabetes, and it makes your whole life difficult. I don't want anyone to stay stuck with this disease. I want everyone to have the chance to destroy their diabetes. That's why I'm not asking for $1,000. I'm not asking for $500 or even $100. Hey, not even $50. You can start reversing your diabetes right now for only $37. Imagine, you'll finally be able to throw away your diabetes medication and feel in control of your life again. It's time to be free of diabetes. Click the button below to add the 3-step diabetes destroyer to your cart right now. You'll get instant access to the PDF version of the system so you can read it on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, or print it out and read it anywhere. Check out what people have already experienced with the 3-step diabetes destroyer. Travis from Charlotte, North Carolina said, "The diabetes destroyer saved my life. My health was getting worse and worse, and it seemed like my diabetes medication wasn't doing anything. When my doctor started warning me about amputating my foot, I knew I had to make a change. That's when I found Diabetes Destroyer. I followed the 3 simple steps, and all of a sudden I had the energy I needed again. I went back to my doctor a few weeks later, and he was shocked at how healthy I was. I haven't needed my diabetes medication for months." Kelly from Sacramento, California said, "I've had type 2 diabetes for years. I was constantly worried about my blood sugar levels. I never had any energy, and I always had to be careful about what I ate. No matter what I did, I couldn't get my diabetes under control. I felt trapped, and I felt like a burden on my family. Diabetes Destroyer gave me my life back. I use the 3 steps to reverse my diabetes, and my family can barely keep up with me. I'm eating my favorite foods, and I do the things I love. Thank you for saving my life." And Sarah from Rochester, New York, who said, "I didn't have the energy to keep up with my kids anymore. Just the thought of vacation or even a day on the town, it made me feel exhausted. Diabetes was stealing my life. I was scared my vision would start to go, or my feet would start to tingle, hurt, and then I'd lose them. I didn't want to be a blind amputee. I found the truth about diabetes, and it's changed everything. I reprogrammed my body to keep my blood sugar where it should be. Finally, I have the energy I need to live my life. And thanks to Diabetes Destroyer, I know my life is going to be long and happy." Now that you've seen how it worked for them, I want you to see how it works for you. So here's a risk-free way for you to try out the 3-step Diabetes Destroyer. I want you to download the system right now and start using it. If for some reason it doesn't work for you, even though it's worked for 38,317 people so far, then I'm offering you a guarantee. In fact, since I'm sending you the system through ClickBank, the nation's largest and most trusted information retailer, you get ClickBank's ironclad guarantee. If for any reason you're not satisfied with the 3-step diabetes destroyer, just request a refund within 60 days and I'll refund your money 100%. That means that you can test it out risk-free. If you're ready to make the smartest decision of your life, then click the Add to Cart button right now. I really want you to think for just a moment about your future and your family. What will happen if you don't make any changes? What will happen if you let your diabetes destroy your life? Every day, for the rest of your life, you'll have to go through the annoyance and pain of blood tests and insulin injections. You'll try medicine after medicine with no results except dangerous side effects like nausea, weight gain, and heart disease. Not to mention all the vacations, new cars, and other luxuries that you won't be able to afford because you're spending all your money on your diabetes medication. Until the day you die, you'll be a burden on your friends and family. But even that torture won't be enough to stop the slow decay of your body. Each day, you'll have less energy. Each month, your body will get worse and worse. How long until your foot won't stop tingling and then goes completely numb? How long until the doctor tells you that they have to cut it off? How many amputations will you go through before diabetes leads you to an early death? Now, I'm sorry if this scares you, but sometimes I feel like I have to be direct. After all, this was the direction my life was heading until I discovered how to destroy my diabetes. Listen, this doesn't have to happen to you. You can destroy your diabetes just like I did. You can start enjoying life again, eating your favorite foods whenever you want. You can live a long and happy life, having the energy you need to do the things you love with the people you love. You can be free. All it takes are these 3 diabetes-destroying steps, which I'm sending you in your copy of Diabetes Destroyer. Click the Add to Cart button below to start your new future today. Oh, in case you have questions, I've collected a few of the most common ones here to answer. Does Diabetes Destroyer really work? Yes. Like I said, over 38,317 people have already used it to reverse their diabetes. It jumpstarts your pancreas to start producing enough insulin again and retrains your body to absorb and use that insulin. Is it scientifically proven? Absolutely. The Diabetes Destroyer system is based on research at Newcastle University in England, Harvard University here in the U.S., and Jonathan's own osteopathic research. There have been countless studies all over the world showing that these principles can reverse your type 2 diabetes. How difficult is this program? The first step is the toughest, but like I said, if you can say no to donuts and pizza once in a while, you can handle this temporary meal plan. And it's obviously not too hard since almost 40,000 people have successfully used it. Plus, once you finish the first step, the next 2 are practically effortless. What if it doesn't work for me? Well, if for some reason it doesn't work for you, just let me know, and I'll refund your money 100%. Listen, I've shown you the proof that Diabetes Destroyer works. The only thing left for you is to try it for yourself. Click the Add to Cart button to start destroying your diabetes right now.